I've recorded Alphorn.
What mic did you put on it?
I threw an SM57 right into the...
Right.
Hi everybody, welcome to Tidal Wave Studio. My name is Patrick Damiani and this is my good friend Robin Schmidt, a Grammy-decorated mastering engineer. And a while ago we had an interview where I was asking him a couple of questions, like what's going on in the mind of a very experienced mastering engineer. And after that day he said, next time I'm going to come to your studio and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. So here we are. Hello Robin.
Hi, Patrick.
Yeah, I'm curious what a mastering engineer would like to know from a...
Recording engineer.
Recording and mixing engineer, right. Yeah.
Well, first of all, I would like to say welcome, Patrick. And Patrick has been a mixing engineer for 20 or 25 years.
27.
27 years. We've been working together for at least 20 years, maybe 25 years.
Rather 25.
Rather 25. And Patrick is one of the most consistent and versatile mixing engineers that I know. So it's well worth asking you a couple of questions.
Aww.
And I want to start in your childhood.
My childhood.
Tell me about your childhood.
Sad.
Yes.
I was a very sad child and...
Maybe you should lay on the couch and... No, what I want to know is, how did you get into recording?
Doing shitty home recordings at home, like with my brilliant setup was a tape deck, a Walkman, and let's call it the DJ mixing desk, and the microphone from the Super 8 camera from my dad.
All right.
So brilliant recording equipment. And so recording like a guitar with a microphone to tape, and then playing that back with the Walkman and playing a second track along and mixing it right away to again back to tape and so on until you have like hiss with music somewhere in the background. Music.
But that sounds like you were learning autodidactically, so teaching yourself everything and creating art along the way.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it art and I would really call it real recordings, but yes.
I would call that more artful than if you just go to a music store, buy a 4-track recorder and record. It's like figuring out the process and you're inventing something new, essentially.
Had I known that a 4-track recorder even exists, I might have tried to afford one, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, but it was fun, and I did my very last pre-production for the first album I recorded in an actual recording studio, so it was still the same process when I was 19? No, 22.
Oh.
22. It was in 99, so I was 22 and I did the same thing basically for, I don't know, 5-6 years or so. Yeah.
So when did you decide to get into recording or to get into the music production side of things?
That was a pure coincidence. We were recording our debut album.
Which band was that?
It was called Windsval, like symphonic black metal. It was pretty cool, and the recording was nice also. It was 2.5 days recording and mixing included for a full album. And then when we went there, we wanted to make cassettes back then, but when we went to pick up our CDs, because we eventually made CDs, I saw like an ad from the studio owner. He was looking for an assistant. I said like, I'm going to do this. So, and then the deal was basically, but it's like the old school way of learning the thing. So my work was to solder patch bays and cables and make coffee and go, I don't know, clean and whatever. And my payment was I could use the studio as I wanted in the studio off time. So it's really the classical thing, evenings, weekends. And the great thing is one of my bandmates back then was working in the music store that was right in the building. So we went there, took the best amps and drums and stuff, and we recorded our own things.
Okay.
So that's how it started. And yeah.
So all payment was material. There was no payment in forms of money.
Not in the beginning, yeah. But
Right.
at some point it was pretty quick, so that it's the usual thing. It's like, yeah, there's a little band that needs a little overdub of something, and then you do this now, and then the actual studio owner was still somewhere, so in case I ran into trouble. And then it's like it's the classic way how you learned audio engineering, like really from assistant to doing the first little steps, and then
Cool. When you decided to go into sound full time, I assume that then you set up your own studio space.
No, I was working still in the studio that I started in, and the thing is, I studied construction engineering at the time, and I was working. Before I made myself independent, I was working a lot in the studio, and I was working in the supermarket to earn more money to enable to pay for my studies.
Oh, really?
So, and then it was like the days were really full, so I was working every day. And then at some point I said, okay, I need to take a decision, and I said, okay, I'm going to make myself independent as audio engineer and just go for it. So,
And how risky was that?
oh, very. It was, because first of all, my parents were very happy to hear that I basically abandoned my studies.
Your parents were happy about that?
Yes, very happy.
Oh, very happy.
Especially
okay.
my dad, who for him it was like, my boys can go to university and everything. So he was pretty shocked that I take the decision to make music as he thought I would do.
I think that's so common. It's most people working in the music industry seem to have at some point not completed their studies but abandoned
They found their passion
proper
somewhere
thing.
else.
Exactly.
But you need to follow this, and if you have a passion for something and feel that you have to go. And I was young. What risky? It was not really risky. The only risk was to fail and to crawl back home and ask for money. But I never did this, and that's okay. But that would have been, I would have fallen, I don't know, maybe softly, but in my mind it was, I always need to do it myself, and I need to be successful myself. So it was all in, basically.
Could you have gone on and be employed, or do you have the spirit in you? You need to do it yourself. You need to figure it out yourself.
The thing is that in the beginning I was kind of employed in that studio, but like I didn't earn a lot, and that's why I also worked at the supermarket, and was like I wanted to do this full time. At a certain point I was almost the only one really doing recordings at that studio. The boss of the studio was doing like organizing stuff and blah. And then at some point, and this was like 2 months after I made myself independent, he wanted to close the studio. And I was like,
no.
Okay. But he said, if any of you guys, because there were 2 guys working in the office, like making CD duplication stuff and graphics, and he said, if any one of you want to take over the studio, say, I'm doing it. And then it was a very, very hard time from then, because the expenses were enormous. I was working every day.
Which bank wanted to give you money to buy the studio?
In the beginning, I didn't have a loan. I was paying rent. I was paying lease for the desk, lease for the equipment, electricity. Obviously, I had so much money to pay every month, and I was working my butt off to pay everything. It was a real struggle. I was working 7 days a week, 15 hours a day.
And that's not to become a rock star, but to
make ends meet.
Yeah, to make ends meet, to be in music production.
I went all in, so what do you want? So that was not, it was hard, but I guess it's the way it is. If you start a new business, you need to go all in. I think you don't need to go pussy when you do that. You really have to work and dig yourself out. At some point I said to the previous owner, I can't do this anymore. Either you sell me the whole equipment, or I'm going to start somewhere else, because it was just, I was spending so much money, not for myself, but just to rent equipment and stuff. It was absurd. And then he made me a very good deal, I must say. And then I went to the bank and took like I don't know how it's called in English, Existenzgründungskredit. Like you start a new existence as an independent entrepreneur.
Did you need to provide securities for that?
No, but they wanted a plan. But it was like a program, like for young, new, independent people. I needed to have a life insurance.
Oh, okay.
You make the whole biography.
Yes, I'm spending a bit of time on that. But I think the business side is interesting because so many of us are trying out and starting and being creative. But at some point you hit a roadblock where you essentially have to become an entrepreneur, and you stumble and you fall and you learn things. So it's good to talk about this. So can I ask you, how long did it take until you felt secure, until you felt like, yes, this is my studio, this is my job. I don't have to bend over backwards to make ends meet, but this is going now. How long did it take?
The thing is, I think I took over the studio in 2002, and in 2007 was the first year where I was not. It was the first year where I felt like my head is out of the water.
Okay.
But that was exactly the moment where the owners of the building decided to sell. And I needed to go out of the studio and restart from zero. And that's when I built this studio in 2008. I basically started below zero again.
And how long did it take that time? Did it take another 5 years until you felt secure?
What do you mean felt secure? Fortunately, I always had a lot of work. So I was always able to pay my bills. I had never... So it was hard sometimes, but it's how it is in the beginning. It's like you don't have as many clients as maybe 30 years later. But I saw it like a computer game. It's like I will have another life, and sometimes we're like deep in the red with your bank account. But somehow then came a job, or somehow you made something, or somehow it always worked out. So
maybe it's also because you're doing something that you love doing. So then if it goes down, if it doesn't go so well, it doesn't feel like complete failure. It's just, there's ups and downs.
Yeah, but existential fear is a thing. And I would tell that everyone who wants to try and go independent, do it, but be prepared. So the downs are there, and you cannot. It's like, I think like success or business thing is like a spiral. So you start very small. And then if you work consistently well enough for people to come back, then it's like your radius of clients and people that are interested in what you do is eventually going to grow. So and that's then at some point you get a feeling of okay, it will be all right. And then at some point you can start having some savings, and not only debt and red on the bank account, so that even if you have like a bad month, then you do something useful with your time for your business or so. There's always something to do.
There's an interesting divide though. I remember I once needed a loan for my studio, and I went to the bank, and I thought I was doing great. Maybe this was something like 2009 or something. And I went to the bank and told them I need this much money. It wasn't really much. And the first thing they said to me was, "Oh, so it's not going so great." So I'm wondering,
But I only had I was at the beginning of an existence, so I don't remember exactly what I had to provide to the bank to show them, but it was like they certainly wanted to see some numbers from the previous year.
Yeah.
They wanted to see what I expected from the next year, so I told them whatever they wanted to hear. What else can you do? I don't have like a crystal ball to watch into and see what's going to happen. But I knew that there was this production, so I wrote down some numbers, fantasy numbers, and said, this is going to come and blah blah blah. And it was not an awful lot of money, to be honest. It was not like 300,000 euro. I was just buying gear, so I did not buy a complete building or something. So it was doable.
What would you say to your younger self setting up the same recording studio, the same business, the same career? What have you stumbled upon or stumbled over and learned that was really hard that a younger you might find useful to hear?
I think the biggest advice that I would give myself is buy less things that you think you need but you don't actually need. There is
like
this,
what?
some plugins, some gear, more, and you think you need this microphone, you need this, you need that, but in fact you don't. There is a funny meme. You may have seen it. If I find it, I will edit it into the video. It's like really beginner guitar cab SM57 sounds great. Then it's like the medium advanced pseudo expert is like 3 microphones on axis, off axis, blah blah blah.
Sony,
behind
Neumann,
whatever, a lot of stuff, and they're like, yeah, sounds great. And then the experienced engineer SM57 sounds great.
Yes.
So this is like a cycle. Would I? Yeah, it's always the question: would I change something, or would you tell your younger self, don't do this? At the end of the day, it's also a learning curve. So I don't know if I would change a lot. I don't know if I made an awful lot of terrible mistakes. Maybe I would have, if I had known better, maybe started to save a little bit of money earlier. So like prepare for the day where you won't work anymore, because if you're independent, you don't have like a money income from, if you don't pay into something, you don't get anything out. So,
but is that something you should think about in your 20s?
Yes. It's like I've learned this from my wife. It's not that I didn't know the math, but she woke up this conscience about these facts in me, and I'm grateful for this. So you have interest, and then interest on interest,
compounding interest,
and the might of time is enormous. So even if you only put like €50 a month aside, but you start with 20, well, the time up until you are 65 or 70 or whatever, when you are going to retire, the amount of money that generated for later, if you put it into an ETF, something like this, something that generates like interest,
compounding interest over time. Luckily, all your listeners will know this because they know exponential fade curves. That's how it goes. You put a little bit in and it grows exponentially.
That's it. And even if it's only a little, but I think there are 2 aspects. First of all, it's the exponential growth, and then it's the learning that you see, wow, you can earn by putting money aside, and it gives you a good feeling. It's not just that I don't want to be rich or something, but I want to feel secure. I don't want to be anxious if I'm going to be able to pay my bills tomorrow. And this is something where, especially when you start out a business, so you need a clear head. You don't want to be worried all the time. And I had days that I was very worried, and I could not sleep well because I was like, yeah, well, it is what it is. Everyone has its ups and its downs. And if you don't have like rich parents where you can go and say, give me money, I fucked it up, what are you going to do? So and having a little bit peace of mind is say, hey, even if I don't have work for the next 2 months, it's all right, it's not a problem.
Then you're secure, and then you can concentrate on your art.
It is.
Concentrate on the studio, on the music, and live in the moment and create and create and create. Excellent. Okay, let's get to some music production.
Finally.
Finally, yes.
What's your favorite compressor?
No, but...
Favorite EQ?
Not even that. You record and you mix and you produce, and do you do that for everyone? Or are there artists that you won't work with?
That's a very good question. I am a little bit selective, but not the way one might think. It's because sometimes bands come and say, yeah, we are only amateurs, and I don't know if you... I don't care if you're amateur or superstar. That's the same thing. The things that matter is, do I have the feeling that I can make something great of what you want to do? Are we able as a team to achieve what you want to have? That needs to be given. So if the band is, for example, playing in a style that I'm really, really uncomfortable with, and I feel like, I don't know, I cannot really help you with the production and blah, like there are certain very niche genres where you feel like somebody else would be better suited. Then I say this, but...
So it has to be a good match between
definitely,
you
it's
and
teamwork.
the artist.
Yeah, absolutely. I need to have the feeling that I can deliver something solid. And also, this has... I don't know if that ever happened, but you also need of kind of need to like the people. You have to work with them, and if there is if there is something going on that you really don't want to work with them, then you will find a way to not do it, because it is a teamwork, and if
chances are, if you don't like them, they probably don't like you either.
Possible,
so it's probably
possible.
best to.
But I must say that over, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things, projects that I worked on, I don't think that really ever happened. But there was one band, they didn't want to come here because it was too clean. They wanted a fucked up space. I think it was like
I could have helped you with that.
Yeah,
no problem.
I could have helped as well. But it was like they said, like, yeah, I get it. So then this is not the right space.
Right.
But generally, I want to have the feeling that it's a good match. Yeah.
Is it important for you that a band comes in and is prepared reasonably well?
Yes.
So what if they come unprepared?
Well, it happens all the time. Although I try to brief them and tell them like this and that, and prepare this and prepare that. But then eventually, especially more unexperienced musicians, they find out here that they are not so well prepared as they thought they were. But there are ways. I'm doing this for so long, so I have a bazillion tricks to make it happen somehow. If the drummer is not able to play his part, whatever, then there is always, depending on the situation, there's always a way to cheat around and make it happen. So
maybe offer a simpler part to play,
a simpler part, or
split things in 2 takes.
Exactly, all this kind of just little cheating techniques. They sound obvious and ridiculous once you know them, but many people are unexperienced and they didn't know about this, and then it's like, okay, now it's working. So a lot of little tricks.
In a way, you are a little bit of a vocal coach in the moment. You're a little bit of a guitar coach, of a drum coach, of a tech, someone who is able to lead people to perform.
I think it's essentially important to be able to understand all the instruments that you're going to record. Even if you're not able to play them, you need to have an understanding. For example, I don't know, I cannot play violin, but I know how it's tuned. I know what intervals are playable. I know this is the thing. You need to be interested enough in the matter, and so that you can guide people, even if you are not able to play that instrument, but guide them through. I'm not a great singer, but I can guide somebody through a vocal recording session and give him some tips. And I think every good audio engineer or recording engineer should be able to do that. And I know that people are very grateful for this. Musicians hate somebody who is just pressing a button. I've had so many feedbacks coming like, this previous studio where we have been, it was just like a guy pressing a button and never gave any feedback, never gave any guidance, and they really enjoy this. On the other hand, you have also like people that they don't want any guidance. You say like, oh, have you thought about blah, blah, blah? And then it's like, I know what I'm doing. It's like, okay, but it's fine. So you need to, it's a very psychological
I was going to say, yes.
Extremely.
It sounds, you do not only need to be able to offer good advice, but also know when to offer the advice and how to communicate it. It's a long time ago, but I used to work in a recording and mixing studio as well. And I know how frustrating it can be when you know how it could be done, but the people don't trust you enough to receive advice yet. So it's a tight, you have to tread very carefully. Yeah,
it's sometimes it's trust, but very rarely it's trust. It's most of the time they are very self-confident, and sometimes it's nice because if somebody knows what he wants and is able to deliver, it's great. I love this. I can learn something from them. But if you see that somebody is struggling, you offer advice, and then sometimes it's ego that's coming into their way. But it's always the way how you deliver it. There's one drummer that comes to my mind. He was like, I gave him a device. I was like, let's do it like this. So you are also a project manager. You have like a 5-piece band and you need to make it happen. And then you see like, okay, trouble here, trouble there. You need to find a way to make it happen. And then you offer advice. And then there's this one guy that knows it better. And then he says, I don't need blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, let's try it your way and see. And then this one guy, for example, that I just have in mind, it took one day and then he took every advice and he was very grateful, and he thanked me at the end and said, it's you have to play the game and not be offended. In somebody that's being the recording engineer, you should never be offended if somebody doesn't take your offer, but that doesn't force them to accept it. It's an offer. I throw things in the room, and sometimes I say, I'm already sorry now, but I will I will make a lot of propositions for different things, but you're not forced to accept it. I just throw it into the room, and you pick whatever you like from it, and if not, then it's your music. I'm there to try and help you.
Being egoless in that regard really helps. In my job as well, I know it helps in yours.
It's not always easy, to be honest, especially if you are involved in a deeper creative thing. So if people ask you to work deeper on the music, then you contribute a lot at some point, and if they then reject something, then it doesn't feel like providing service anymore, but you are in a creative thing. So then it's a little bit more difficult to let go of something, but at the end of the day, it's their music. So I think I needed to grow a little bit into being cool with having ideas rejected. So it is what it is. And
I think the best engineers have that same learning curve. That really helps, but it takes time. When you record a band or a musician, what are some psychological aspects or what are some tricks to get a good performance?
It depends on what the performance needs. I don't know. I remember one recording session where I know that the singer, he made a song for his uncle that just deceased. So, and I knew that it was very emotional, and we had probably one take, because I didn't want to have that take ruined by doing another take, and it's like sometimes takes get better, but sometimes it has to be that one.
Yes.
So we dimmed the lights, and this is a little bit cliche, but like dimmed the lights, made some atmosphere thing, and everyone shut the fuck up and calm down and let him do his thing without us being a distracting factor in the thing. And this is one of the most memorable performances I ever recorded. So it has like the voice breaking down mid-song, and I get emotional just thinking about it. Honestly, I feel like getting very emotional thinking about it. That's powerful. And it can be other things, like some artists are very shy, so maybe you set them up in a way that you are not staring at them through.
But what I hear from you is that these are you take that seriously.
Surely.
So these are not cheap tricks. Like they taught me in university.
The producer
like,
fader.
Yeah, or tell them after a bad take, tell them that was really good, but I'm sure you can do a better take.
Yeah, compliment sandwich. Yeah.
Yeah, that's bullshit.
Oh, you have a nice watch. Your take was shit. Oh, and nice shoes, by the way. No, but there's you need to feel it, and people are not stupid. They feel if you're bullshitting them or not. So, and I know that especially singers or some musicians in general, they are under my microscope here, and they are vulnerable. And I need to respect this, and I do, because I know how it feels like. Okay, he's hearing everything completely unfiltered, and he's going to judge me. So the first thing is like to give people the feeling that you are not judging them.
What is the one strangest thing that a musician or singer ever did in your studio to feel comfortable?
Well, I have drummers that only play in underwear, but I don't think that qualifies. I remember that I had one session that was a duo, two women that were used to play only on stage. And they said like, yeah, but we need the staging. I said, I have an idea. Let's put on some construction site bright lamps right in your face. And they loved it. They were feeling like on stage and felt comfortable performing. It was a heavy electricity bill because this was pre-LED. It was like 500 watt LED things for a week burning through. So, but I think it was well worth it.
Nice.
It's stuff like this. You just you have to be playful about it, I think.
Do you find that you have a preference in sound or a philosophy? Like, Yngwie Malmsteen's less is more? Less kind of be more.
How
More
could
is
less
more.
be more? Yeah. I have a love for a certain kind of sound. I like organic, earthy, warm sounding productions. I don't like harsh and That's one thing, but that's very general. The less is more thing is kind of true, but it's I refer to more as I like good, I like good arrangements. I like if elements in a song interlock correctly. I hate like having to fight. So sometimes you get stuff like you have an electric bass, an upright bass, and a tuba and a synth bass at the same time.
And 70 guitars, and half of them are playing minor key, and the other half are playing major key at
That's
the
a
same
whole
time.
that's a whole another nightmare. But just like complete overlap of stuff, and it's like there you really feel that whoever worked on this didn't have like a focus on something really. It's like this is cool standalone, yeah, this is also cool standalone, this is also cool standalone, I will figure it out. No, I like opulence as much as I like just one guitar and a voice. But if there is opulence, then it needs to be well done. So you have like a big box of that you can fill, like from low frequencies to high, from left to right, from front to back, and you have a lot of space. You can put a ton of stuff into a section of a song, but everything needs to have its space. So, and yeah, I like it. I love arranging myself. So and it's like when I'm listening to it, it's like I'm missing something, and then I only add stuff that I really feel is missing, and then you cannot end up with 60 tracks playing at the same time. But everything has its little space. This is what I like. I like well organized thing.
And I like the mixes of those. I like a good mix of a good arrangement when everything seems to pull together, but also interlock.
Yeah.
And
mixing is easy then, and I guess mastering as well, because
Yes.
everything falls into place just by itself. You don't need to do heavy lifting in mixing. It's just like everything is where it is. And this is then the other thing. I like records to sound, if possible, natural. So without triggering, without sound replacing, without too much tuning. It's not that I have done it a million times, so but I'm so happy if I don't have to do it. But yeah, and then you get like a natural feeling result, and this communicates in a more emotional way. It's not so, it doesn't feel so sterile. I don't like sterile recordings. I like some that grab you by the balls for whatever reason. Either it's like deep meaning wise, or it's like just a great arrangement, it's just a beautiful song. But I like if it has something that makes me enjoy working on it, and it makes me want to take it after I've listened to it a million times while working on it. I take it and listen to it in private right after I stop mixing on it.
Oh yeah.
I do this.
Okay.
Sometimes it's like, it's just so great. I enjoy it so much that I'm a fan of.
I have a fascination with music I at first don't understand. If I work on some music where I think like, oh, that's weird, or that's nearly music I'm listening to, it's not quite music. I quite often think about new music styles then, but after a day or a week or after a while, you kind of get really fascinated by it.
It's awesome if that speaks for creativity. So I'm not a big fan of super generic music, for example. It's like, especially bands who try to copy something. It's like, let's do the Pantera riff. It's like, for God's sake, do your own riff. Do the My Band Names riff. That's so much cool. And this is the same thing. It's like, what is this? But that's great, because that's art. That's when it's just, it's also okay to play the same thing as long as you enjoy doing it. But if you ask for preference, then it's so much cooler to do something unique. Yeah.
So, let's get to mixing. When you only mix a project, so you haven't produced it, you haven't recorded it, but a band or an artist approaches you for mixing. Is there any musical style that you prefer?
Yes and no. There are some styles that I don't especially like, but I have also the feeling that there are specialized studios that do just this, and so those people don't naturally come to like a studio like mine.
Do you feel comfortable saying what that is, or do you think you might encourage them to then not even ask you?
I think I would say it if I would have to produce it, because then I see like, yeah, I'm not very comfortable with that. I don't know if I'm the right person to make a good production. But mixing, I enjoy mixing styles that I would not enjoy recording, for example, or that I would not enjoy producing. Like I would gladly mix a hip hop track.
As you do.
As I do.
As you've done, I've heard it. It's
or
great.
Electronic music or so. I enjoy mixing almost everything, except if it's like Volksmusik, like very, very super generic. Like I really don't like that too much, but I enjoy mixing many more styles that I could confidently produce well, because I'm not good at programming synths, for example. Then I'm like, what am I going to do? I have nothing of value to add here, so I'm not the right person for this. And I would encourage every mixing engineer to work on as many different genres as possible, because first of all, you have cross transfer. I learned something from a classical piece, arrangement wise, for example, that I can integrate the philosophy of it into a metal, even a metal band. You have like a rhythm guitar, lead guitar, try to make them work together and not against each other. It's music, at the end of the day, they share so many, at least 50% is always the same rules or the same
language.
Kind of, language is a good word for it. And then there's the specialties, and then it's like, often what I enjoy doing is when I work on a style that I'm not familiar with, that I say, let me do it without listening to references, because it might bring a fresh breeze into your thing. And I've had bands where I was more involved, and I don't know if I can say it like this, but I just do it. I think it was a key of success for the band, because they were not like the 50,000th iteration of the same thing, but it was something different.
I think that can work very well.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes you really need to know what you're talking about. So if you do like a black metal band, blah blah, you need to know the aesthetic, and you need to know the feeling, and you need to know what that music needs. So there is no playing around. Sometimes you hear like the band's got successful, came out of the underground, then hired like a Grammy nominated blah who does big productions. I've had examples like this, and then you get a sound that really does not fit the music. But then you pay them a lot of money and it just doesn't fit. But what are you going to do? So yes. But I like the big palette that's making it less boring.
Cool. So when you start mixing, how is your process?
Top-down method. Is that how you
work?
called it?
I don't know.
The first thing I put on is the mix bus with all the processing going on. So compression, almost no EQ, but just a tiny bit flattering EQ, like cleaning up from, because if you listen to raw tracks, they're all a little bit dull, they're a little bit boxy. So I have like found my thing, and this changed. This was the game changer. The industry doesn't want you to know.
Do you have a separate video about your standard or your preferred mix bus?
Not a separate video, but I have done so many mix deconstruction videos where I showed everything and also why. But I may have to do this, because I have like two things that I do always the same, and I think they help me a great deal in getting efficient and just nail it quicker.
And so, what is that?
But it's my mix bus approach. So I mix into compression, into limiting, into clipping, the full thing. So I know immediately what the final thing is going to sound like. Doing a lot on the sum of everything means you don't need to do as much on the individual tracks, which I love. So sometimes you have a track, there's nothing going on, there's no EQ, nothing, no compression, zero.
So you find that when you're mixing your drums and you put them on the master bus, that compression, that EQ, that clipping, that limiting already helps to get a bit of the groove, the pump into it.
Totally. You get the loudness. You don't run into this typical problem that almost any mixing engineer always had. Is like you mix very dynamically, blah blah blah, and then comes the time where you need to crank the mix, make it loud, and then you lose your snare. this is not going to happen, because if you mix into that chain, you react to what is happening. So it's
You've already
ready.
encountered the problem earlier and adjusted your EQs on the channels and everything.
I always say I mix as if there were no master.
Yeah.
Even if there is a mastering later, but then hopefully, and I hope you will say that's the case, because you mixed master maybe half of what I ever did, so that it's like hopefully only tiny adjustments and not like broad strokes that you needed to do on the masters, because it's like I want to deliver the client a finished mix that he could release just as is, and mastering would be like cherry on top. The other thing that is my mixing secret, but it's the way I do it, and I love the way it's like I pull up, I don't know, 20 effect returns with all kinds of short room, big room, a plate, a shimmer, and then a quarter delay, eighth delay, dot delay, blah, blah, blah. A lot of different things, and they're all ready to go.
Okay, so then while you're mixing, you can already add some effects as needed on the go.
It's just like I don't need to think, oh, now I need a reverb. So it's more intuitive. And then I just need to make a quick send and send it out. And it's also never boring. So instead of having like one reverb and one delay, it's always, and I like to use the analogy of like cooking with spice. You don't put like salt until it's salty. That's like putting a ton of one reverb on it. So, but
that's why you have a spice rack. You have it close to the cooking, and you just take as needed.
Exactly.
You don't go into the garden every time you think, well, some rosemary could be good.
You extended the analogy perfectly.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
Do you start mixing on the drums usually?
It depends on the style. It depends on what is important. If it's a rock or metal track, yes, I start working on the drums, but with bass and guitars running. Most of the
running
time,
at full volume or at reduced volume?
More or less there. Although I didn't take big care, I make so that they are kind of okay, so that I get a feeling. Because if you're mixing an instrument on its own, nobody is going to listen on its own. But that being said, it can be that once I dialed in like a general balance, then I may go in and solo the drums on their own and see. But the drums will often be in band kind of music. The drums will be very early in the process.
And if you have a singer-songwriter, then
the
maybe the
vocal
voice
is very, very early. The main accompanying instrument and the voice will be the first. If you have like singer-songwriter, guitar, vocal, then the vocal will be treated very early in the process, maybe before the drums and everything. Yeah.
Excellent. And what do you mix first when you mix minimal techno, Volksmusik, Schranz?
The Schranz.
The Schranz. Always the Schranz. Go with the Schranz, I say. Okay, and what are your pet peeves when mixing? What do you really hate? Imagine you have a new setup, you have a new song coming in, you start mixing, and you run into what?
Oh, I have a long list.
Oh.
Because the thing is, because it's always the same, and no matter how often you ask gently if people could please not do this and that, they do it all the time.
What
Bad labeling of tracks. It makes me crazy. If like I say, name the kick not, band name, song name, kick, because if I load everything in the session, every track looks the same.
Yeah.
It's just, I want to be very quick in navigating through my session, and I do color coding first. For example, going through the tracks, color coding, renaming tracks so that I can navigate like, I know exactly where is what. And yeah, that helps. Bad arrangements are they are bad. they are bad. They are really
bad things are bad.
They slow you down because
Glad you heard it here first.
Bad is bad. They slow you down. So if you need to clean up everything and decide, do I take this? Do I take this? Do I have to mute? This takes from your creative flow in the mix. For example, I love to start very early in the morning when I'm completely fresh. Sometimes I start at 6 o'clock mixing, AM, not PM. And I love it. There's no telephone ringing. You're fresh. You're completely awake. And then if you then slow down by, okay, the voice is out of tune, blah, blah, blah. I usually try to mix a song in a day. Obviously, I could, if I had an assistant, I could say, okay, you do the mix prep, you tune everything, you align everything, you clean up already.
There's a great story, I think it's about CLA and his assistants, I think, where if a song comes in and the session isn't properly labeled or cleaned up, then his assistants will do it and he'll go down to the beach and come back later.
Well, it is a good thing to have either somebody do the mix preparation for you if the client can afford it, but that's always a thing. Or you do mix prep on one day and start mixing fresh the other day. But I tend not to do this, and I think I manage it, fortunately, pretty well to not get lost on the wrong path by working on something that is still sounding rough because I'm working on cleaning stuff and getting used to like a too rough sound. So it's working out pretty well. But I don't like stuff that's slowing you down because somebody else messed up. Let's call it like this.
Any other pet peeves?
I don't know. I'm always anxious pulling up the bass track, for example, or recording basses because there's always the same thing. The many bass performances are just awful.
Empty strings ringing.
Empty strings ringing. I made a video. not that I want to drop now videos, but I put a card wherever it is.
Go watch that video. Don't be that guy.
Like the same bass mistakes that I see all the time. And now I made this video just to help out people because they're not conscious about what they're doing wrong. So like the notes ringing and then like. Watch the video, you will see it. And it's like, because you only have usually that one instrument giving you the low end, and if that is messed up, because I like nice, tight, big low end, warm sounding, and like something that gives a solid foundation to the song.
I have a feeling that with bass, it's a little bit like with drummers, that when you go into the studio, especially when you're not that experienced, that's really the first time you find out how important and foundational your instrument is. As a drummer or a bassist, you go into the studio, you play, and the first feedback or the first realization is, I'm way not stable enough, or I'm way not solid enough. I don't control the empty strings ringing. As a drummer, well, I sped up there, or my snare hits are not the same volume. Yeah. Stuff like that.
It's always the same things. I think it's just in the human nature. Everyone is always rushing. Yeah. I said, if I ever have a tombstone, there must be played on. Could you please slow down a little bit? Or you were rushing a little bit. So I have said this a million times, and it's always the same. People are always rushing. I said if it's getting too complicated, then they're dragging because they can't keep up. It's always this, but it's the nature of it. So.
It's the nature, and the people coming in might be doing this the first time, whereas for you it's the thousandth time. And then we're back at the be egoless, be...
Yeah, well, you tell them and try to...
slow and
if you have like 5 suggestions to optimize the performance, you feed them one by one, so not to overwhelm them with... It's you're juggling with possibilities and options all the time. But back to mixing, often if the bass is bad, then you have a problem. So that sucks. Generally bad performance or out of tune stuff. So sometimes you can correct something, but everything is like into the category, it slows you down, and you need to figure out something that the one who recorded it in the first place should have taken care of.
I get that too in mastering. Even though I cannot change it or am not expected to change it, I so often get tracks and I'm just working on it and thinking, why didn't they tune the guitar? It would have been so simple. Come on.
They may not have noticed it. I get it. Sometimes you're in a creative mood and sometimes it's like, okay, the performance was cool. We felt it. It's not perfect, but we felt it and we want to keep it. I get it. But still, it's when you're sitting there and you don't... That's maybe frustrating sometimes when you're mixing and you cannot influence the performance anymore. Sometimes you can ask, hey, do you still have like blah, 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 an alternate take or something? Or did you feel something is missing? Do you have like some spare takes so that I can make like triples of the vocals to beef it up a little bit in the chorus, stuff like this. And I also don't like having to wait If you have like somebody says, yeah, just text me if you need something, and then you text them and then you don't get a response and you have to wait, or you cannot.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. Everything that slows you down is
But that's also why I lean to fixing things myself if I can fix them myself, just because it speeds things up. Can I ask you, are there any things that you do in mixing, little tricks or little techniques where you think that's something you do routinely that other people don't, that are really good?
Maybe. For example, I sometimes, instead of, for example, compressing a signal, I will go in and spectral edit it to smooth out performance.
All right.
That sounds maybe weird because one is like frequency thingy, but sometimes like you have a vocal and it's, but it's not actually really getting loud. It's just getting intense, and sometimes it's just like one frequency that's poking out, and then I go
the same thing. Very cool.
I go in and spectral edit it out, and then you already see the waveform. Whoop.
Yeah.
And it's like stuff like this, like reducing harshness on the spot, and not putting like one plugin that does a thing uncontrollably over the whole track. So like I do a lot of spot editing, committing to it, doing whatever it is, and I commit to it and forget about what I did before. So like trying to progress all the time. But many people like to keep a lot of takes, keep a lot of options. I don't want options. I would take a decision and move on. That's freeing my mind. I don't have to think about it anymore. I don't have to look at plugins. I don't have to look at edits.
That's during mixing. Is the same true for recording?
Yes. Yeah.
You prefer to commit a sound before you record it to tape?
No, the performances. I like to commit to performances.
But you try to record without processing?
Yes.
So that
because I want options. In that case, yes. Well, I don't have an awful lot of outboard that the rack here, for example, I keep it for mastering purposes, more or less only. So this is my mix bus chain, and
it's beautiful,
and I love it. It's my secret sauce. No, but and then I do some EQing and stuff as a plugin, so just that it sounds a little polished.
Okay, so basically record
flat,
pretty flat.
Yeah.
But in mixing, commit.
Yes.
Okay, excellent, wonderful. More on mixing. Tell me about your car stereo.
I don't reference outside the studio.
That was going to be my next question. Do you have a specific other mix test outside the studio that you use?
The only thing I do is, meanwhile, I feel so confident in my setup here. I switch it on. I don't often reference to other tracks. A sanity check, like a really quick one. It's like, okay, I'm cool. Or, it's a little whatever. But it's really not like trying to, how did they do this? It's really just like, as I call it, sanity check. Yeah, it's like, I always call it healthy sounding.
Yeah.
If it sounds healthy in comparison, then I say, okay, cool, let's move on.
So you don't check in your car?
No. The only thing I do is, just without wanting to interrupt you, I have my iPhone, and before I send it out to client, I uploaded it to some file sharing thing like Dropbox. And what I do before I send it out, I quickly zap into and listen over the phone speaker.
Okay.
Just that once, just to see if it feels healthy. I want to put it on. It's like, yeah, feels good. Send it out. And if really is something that I think like, then I might go back quickly. But it's just like. Also,
would that be mixing decisions only, or also arrangement decisions?
No. A purely aesthetic, sonic overall thing. It's like I put it on, I listen to intro, verse, chorus, and if it feels good, off. I don't listen to the whole song. It's just like getting a feeling. Is the vocal? Did I just mess up something completely? But
a thing I find quite common is that when you play things on a phone, you can lose your bass line or your fundamental tone. So
that's right. But these are things that I noticed then if I say like, where's the bass?
Okay.
But since I know that the bass also has to work if you don't have like big speakers or subwoofer, you try to have some 900 hertz in your bass so that you can hear it.
Yeah. Or some instrument doubling the bass line or something to give it harmonic.
It needs to feel big, even if it needs to feel bass heavy, even if it isn't, if you can't hear it. So
and I see here that you only have one set of speakers.
Yes, I would recommend this to everyone. I think it's more confusing if you switch, because it's like this speaker tells you this speaker tells you this. What is right or wrong? I remember once. This is a little anecdote that we share. You may remember it. Where I was at your studio for a mastering session, and you have a pinball machine outside.
Yes.
And we were playing pinball, and obviously the sound coming from there is thin.
Yeah.
So it has no real bass and anything. And we played like 10 minutes or so, and we came back to the studio. And I was like, ooh, do we have too much low end? So we got used to like cheap sounding or thin sounding or lo-fi sounding, whatever you want to call it, so quickly that we were second guessing what we were hearing in the studio. So I just want to avoid this. Now imagine I have my full range speakers and then I switch to aura tones or whatever, and a stanza, headphones that are maybe brighter. What am I going to pull out of it? I'm only going to be confused. So why not work or listen to a lot of music if you have new speakers? Just get used to them, get used to your setup and roll with it.
And the comparison on other systems, not only can it be disoriented, but it can fool you. I once had a client at my place, this was many years ago, and they checked the master we just made in their car, as they're used to listening. And they came back and told me, no, there's way too much bass. So then half an hour later, we tried out things, etc. They went back to the car, and then they were happy, and they drove away. And then they came back again and said, now it has way too little bass.
You know what that can be? This is a thing back when I wasn't as confident. I was checking back in the car. I found that it was a huge difference if you listen to it sitting in your car without the motor rolling, or if you are on the road.
That was exactly the thing that happened.
I would have guessed it, because if you're standing still, then the bass is prominent, and if the car is running, then it's just a different thing. So, but what I do is I basically have my translation thing from the clients. So I also don't do a tandem mixing session for that exact reason. I say, I don't want you to be here, not because I don't want you to be here, but you will take bad decisions.
Yes.
You will take bad decisions because you don't know the setup, and you will think that something is whatever. Listen to where you are used to. And they say, where should I listen to? Listen to where you listen to all your music all the time. If it's earbuds, listen on earbuds.
And take your time.
Yeah.
Don't listen and decide whether it's good or bad. Just listen over days and live with it like you would.
Yeah, well, I'm happy if I get a somewhat
instant feedback.
Yeah, more or less, not 5 minutes later. But if you want to get projects finished, then don't let me wait 4 weeks. I think if you have a day or two, that's enough to get an impression. And then if I have, like, sometimes. This is what I like to do, is like, if people are from the area, most of them are not, but some are. For example, today I had like a revision session. I said, bring your list with what you want to have changed, maybe guitar loud or whatever. And then we work only on those changes.
Yes.
We don't touch anything that you didn't notice at home. It almost never works out completely, because then they notice something. But I say, is it on your list? I said, no. Should we really touch it?
Yeah.
Because you take bad decisions you're not used to. And then what I do is I load the previous mix so we can compare A, B, and it's like, okay, the guitar, I felt it a little too quiet, and is it better now? So A, B, so that they know where they were coming from. And if we make a change, is that enough change so that you feel that, you know what I mean? And then they obviously listen to it again at home and either say it's cool, or maybe go back half a dB or whatever. So this is,
Cool, wonderful. Okay, quick fire round.
Favorite compressor. Quick fire round, yeah.
Okay, quick fire round. Reverb or delay?
Both. If I had to choose, it would probably be delay.
Why?
Because you can get more effect and without it being so obvious.
Oh, yes.
You have the pre-delay thing going, and repetitions of delays hide behind drum beats, behind guitar strokes, so you get a sense of depth without it being like cloudy.
Excellent. Gibson or Fender?
I have Ibanez.
Ibanez or BC Rich?
Ibanez. I have Ibanez. So
Okay, excellent. All right. Who would you like to form a band with?
I think I had the guys I wanted to have a band with when I was still in a band.
Out of everyone in the whole world, you can pick. You can pick who you want to have. They can't say no. They will be in your band if they want to or not.
Oh, ask me that again in 5 minutes. It's
Okay.
difficult.
All right. What kind of music would that band play?
Probably something with a lot of acoustic instruments or acoustic instruments. I have a metal background, but
Acoustic black metal.
no, probably something singer-songwritery, mellow, warm sounding. I think I would like to do that. Yeah.
All right. What instrument would you play?
Which instrument could I play is the better question. Maybe a stringed instrument, maybe a guitar or bass,
Right.
maybe drums if it's something groovy and not super technical. Yeah.
Which are the strangest instruments you ever recorded?
Oh, I've recorded so many things, but the strangest. Well, if
Yes.
you go into exotic percussion thing, then there is a lot of stuff that I don't even know the names.
Let's start with instruments that are actually real. As in like...
Well, strange. I need to think about it. We'll edit out my thinking time. Strange. I don't think there are strange instruments. There are exotic instruments.
That's what
but-
I essentially mean.
Well, it depends on who you ask if you find it exotic. If somebody here records a tabla and a sitar, then it may be
How about a
somewhat...
krumhorn?
I've
That's
recorded
strange.
alphorn.
There you go. That's
There
the
you
story.
go, alphorn. Yeah.
A whole full-length alphorn.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
But one.
One.
How did that come?
He asked if he wanted to record, and I recorded him. But I enjoyed it. It's cool, and it's yeah. It's folded down into small sections
Yes.
so that it fits into a.
What mic did you put on it?
I threw an SM57 right into the.
Right. And if we are not talking about instruments, although I want to hear more strange instruments, I know you have them. Exotic instruments. I know you have them. Think.
Exotic? What?
Yeah. Think of more exotic. Look, you only thought of the alphorn because I said krumhorn.
Yeah, but,
there's got to be more.
I mean, what is really funny is to record, for example, a toy piano where the microphones are larger than the actual piano.
That is strange.
That's fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like peanuts, like a...
It's like a small toy
Yeah.
piano, clink, 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 and then like a stereo pair of large tube condenser microphones. It's completely ridiculous, but yeah.
Excellent. What are the strangest non-instruments that you recorded? Let me give an example. For example,
Please.
with my own band, and sometime in the 90s, we recorded a toilet.
Okay. That is actually, then I recorded pretty much everything. I used to play in a band called Rome, and there was especially one album where we worked with loops and stuff, and I hate fixed loops. I hate preset 17 stuff. I always want to be sonically unique. So I went with a microphone through the whole house, through the whole building, recorded everything. As soon as I have like an interesting sound, I would record it and use it and build it into like a percussion loop. I had like a bar stool that had like a suspension thing that when you turned around that it would go back back to straight again, and it like clonk 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 clonk. And it was cool, and I recorded this, and it is
So true industrial.
Whatever, just interesting sounds. And I know that one important loop in one song was I had the brushes from drums. Do you call them brushes?
Yes.
Yeah, brush. Like when you swung them in the air, it was like,
Yeah.
So that was the main loop for that song. So stuff of this I've recorded tons, but I didn't think about stuff like this. Yeah, so almost anything. I know that one of my favorite big boom sounds is in the old studio where I was. There was a piano constructor in the house, and one day there was like a piano, like a grand piano standing on its side with the bottom exposed. So, and I hit it with my hand, and it was like with big sustain. I immediately went to the studio like with 50,000 XLR cables, and I recorded this, and I use it up to, I call it piano kick, and I use it
All the time.
often enough. So it's like if you want like a big sustainy big drum thing, I use the piano kick.
So you walk through the world and interesting sounds immediately jump out to you.
Yes, but this is like I think there is a nice thing calling if you ever bought a blue Chevrolet, you will see blue Chevrolets everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And this is like now I'm very interested in photography, so everywhere I look for framing and for light and for stuff. And back when I was studying construction engineering, I was sitting at the bus stop analyzing the static structure of. So it's like I think if you have a passion for something, you see interesting things all the time. So yeah.
Right. Oh, we're in quickfire round still, by the way.
Oh yeah, that was so slow.
Let's be quicker. Okay. What's your favorite microphone?
Probably Perlman TM1.
Oh, okay. That's a great endorsement. What's your favorite compressor?
You will laugh. FabFilter Saturn 2. It's a saturation plugin, but it has like a compression thing.
And you like them over the hardware compressor?
No, but I don't have them individual on track. But sometimes it's like I want it to be a little bit more compact, and instead of compressing, I'm going to saturate it.
All right. Well,
because it's compacting. So oftentimes I do this. Yeah.
What's your favorite piece of gear overall?
It would probably have to be my Bricasti M7. Still, it's just the best reverb there is. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I know that you also do exceptional woodworking, and you have a second channel. There's a link up there.
I don't know if you can link it, but I will try. Yeah.
You'll try it. Okay. Great woodworking videos, beautiful furniture. What's your favorite piece of furniture here in the studio that you built yourself?
I guess the whole thing. It's like a little cockpit that I have here. It's like my desk, because it's like it just fits exactly my workflow. I think it will probably be the speakers and the desk I'm using, because it's just like my little happy bubble that I.
And your bridge and your command center.
Yeah.
Where you live.
Where I spend like every day here. Yeah.
Excellent. Would you ever ask for your name to not be credited on a recording?
Oh, that would be offensive, wouldn't it? But I think no, because if I don't feel that my name should be on it, then I wouldn't work on it. It's that simple.
What if you only realize after you've worked on it?
Then I would make sure that it's as good as it gets, so that I can put my name under it somehow.
So the follow-up question is, did you ever ask for your name not to be put on anything?
Not that I can remember, no.
So that Volksmusik sung by Nazis you're fine with?
Well, that would be a thing, yeah, if you would find out in retrospect that you worked on like a fascio Nazi thing. However, you would not notice it. I don't know how that could happen, but that could be such a case, yes. Or I would ask them to let me pull it back and not being involved at all. But yeah, well.
All right. Let's move on to the last section. Okay. Finally, if you could choose a sound engineer, producer, or mixer to work with, who would you pick and why?
That's interesting. I would probably take somebody that's very, very creative. Obviously, I love the work of people like Chris Lord-Alge and stuff like this, but this is solid technique and stuff. I would like to work with somebody who is very, very creative. Chad Blake would be somebody that I like the approach. Sean Everett is one that he has like very playful and playful way of working with sound. So not so this is right, this is wrong, blah blah blah. So it's like that kind of person probably. So because it's inspiring and you can pick up something. I've watched a bazillion videos of other mix engineers and producers just to soak up whatever could inspire me for my work, and I find like the solid technique things not so interesting as I have never seen that. Wow, that's really creative.
And the same question for bands or artists. Which band or which artists would you like to record or work with?
Have you known of Angine de Poitrine?
Yeah.
Those two. That's something that I would really enjoy maybe doing, because it's just so awesome. It's so fresh. I like this microtonal, weird. I would so happily work with them, for example.
Right.
But for that exact reason, that it's really something like out of the box completely. They are not even within Western convention tone scales. So.
Yes.
That's awesome. Something like this, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. And what oddities does your wife, who's a beautiful and kind woman, have to endure, to live with? Think of like...
Because I am an audio engineer.
Because you're an audio engineer. Think of, for example, to give you an example, imagine you're married to a drummer and all the time... You have to live with drumming.
There may be two things. The one is... Fortunately, this is over now since I built my studio. But back when I knew that I had to move, wherever we were, I was scanning around and thinking about having fantasies about if that could be a nice recording space. Wherever we were, in a hotel, in a thing, and I was like, wow, this would make a great recording space.
But was it because you were thinking about maybe being in that space, or you were taking acoustic inspiration?
Neither the one nor the other. It was just like I was so into that mindset of needing to find a space or building a space that every thought revolved around recording space. So it was just like, like I said before, like now I'm enjoying photography, so I'm seeing light and subjects and framings wherever I look. So
I think there's a bit of a meme with sound engineers that when you walk into space, you you go like.
No, I stopped doing this. I had that, but I
Yes.
I stopped doing this. The other thing is maybe that, yes, when we are going to a concert or listening to something, that I may listen to it a little bit more analytically than the average music listener, and that I would be maybe a little bit more picky about what I'm hearing.
Something that I've experienced is if I go to a concert with someone and I talk about things that interest me, that the other people perceive that to be whining or negative.
That could be a thing. Is like, I would enjoy this concert much more if that guitar was a little bit more quiet.
Yeah, or just like things like, how did you like it? Well, in the first part, where that feedback was lingering,
Yeah, no. But I try not to be a super nerd all the time. That's annoying for everyone. Nobody is interested in this except...
No, nobody is interested.
Except nerds like us. Yeah. The other day I was at a hardware store and they had like misaligned speakers.
Oh,
and it was like I think they had like polarity reversal, like 180 degrees out of phase and was like.
And did you go up to the counter
No.
and tell them like an idiot? I used to do that, and it's so stupid. It's
They
like,
don't even
by the
know
way,
what they're
just in
talking about."
case you want to know, your speakers are wired up wrong, as if anyone would care.
No, nobody cares.
I don't know if I've heard it, but a possible explanation sometimes when speakers are close, like to the front of the store, might be that they want to cancel out the bass.
Nobody thinks about it. They
Nobody
just
wants
messed it
that.
up. No,
Okay.
nobody thinks about stuff like this.
Yeah.
It's just nerds like, oh yeah, out of phase. No, nobody notices.
For every question, you can link some video you've already done. Because this is another thing we might say to end this, is not only the woodworking channel, but your educational channel. You've also taught university workshops at the local university, and you're a great educator. So the whole channel has amazing videos on details and on general things. So there's a lot to find out. And
Hopefully.
all right.
Thanks for sticking with us. If you're still there, then thanks a lot, and have a great day, and happy mixing, mastering, or whatever you enjoy doing. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.